Zach. Basically, football is here. Thursday, the Bears will hit the field for preseason camp. You'll be there talking to players and Aranda and, whoever they bring out, I guess, but over the next few weeks. As they start camp, I mean, what do you feel like Dave Aranda's team needs to accomplish most over these weeks leading up to the season opener against Texas State? Like, what's the top priority?
Yeah, I think the thing that I have the most questions about is the defense overall, just kind of generally. I know Aranda is a defensive guy, but there's a lot of change there. There's a lot of change on the defensive side, obviously. Old defensive coordinator out, new one coming in. There's a little familiarity there, but like a lot of new players, a lot of unanswered questions. And in a league like the Big 12, where offense is king and every team from the top to the bottom has kind of a dynamic offense, where do the Bears defense stack up? And I think that's the biggest question going into camp.
Yeah, Matt Powledge, they're high on him. They loved him as an assistant coach. Obviously, this is a new role for him, and it's interesting. After each of Dave Aranda's seasons, now they've let's see. They replaced offensive coordinator after his first season. I guess they did have 2 more seasons with Ron Roberts as defensive coordinator, but now replacing him. I mean, they, like I said, they love Coach Powell, as they call him, and what he brings. But you're right, there are a lot of question marks on that side of the ball, and some good offenses that they'll be going up against in the Big 12 too.
Yeah, and then like ESPN did this really cool thing where they measured the percentage of production coming back, and the Baylor defense was 97th out of 131 defenses in the nation in terms of returning production. Now, they brought in some transfers like Mike Smith from Liberty and all that, but they're still losing quite a bit. And yeah.
Well, and you mentioned the transfers, and that was something, of course, we heard Dave Aranda address at Big 12 Media Days. And you got to love Aranda and his honesty. I mean, he's always very reflective and not afraid to like call himself out, And basically he said, he didn't feel like the year before they had basically hit the transfer portal as hard as they needed to. And so this off season was a little different. They did bring in some guys on both sides of the ball that I think they're counting on to be, key guys. And so to me, that's one of the things here in camp. I'll be interested to see how, Sawyer Robertson fits in, how Mike Smith fits in, the new receiver. What's
Ketron Jackson from Arkansas?
Jackson. Yeah. I mean, some of those guys, it'll be interesting to see how they kind of fit in the mold, because this is modern day college football now. I mean, we've got basically free agency, and this is going to be the norm, I think, going forward.
And I think, especially of all those guys you mentioned, Mike Smith, I know one of the stories that I wrote out of Media Day was on him and kind of his journey. And he's a guy that doesn't seem like he's ever going to be intimidated by the size of the moment. He started at a community college, went to Liberty, and he's kind of succeeded wherever he went. So like, if that's any indication of how he's going to be and how he's going to be one of those transfers, I mean, I think Baylor, especially the linebacking core, is set up for something big from him, which is positive.
Yeah. And you mentioned it in your story, but I do think it's telling that here you've got this transfer and they bring him to media days. That's not always that common. I mean, he hasn't even been through a season with Baylor, but they're counting on him to be at least, I guess, one of the mouthpieces, one of the guys that they're willing to trot in front of the media and talk about the team. So that's telling to me.
Yeah, high expectations for a guy like him, and I don't think it's too much to kind of put that weight on his shoulders. I think he's ready for it and he can handle it.
Yeah.